Sarah Grimke was a feminist and an abolitionist. Born in November 1792 in Charleston, North Carolina, Sarah later moved to Philadelphia because of her anti-slavery beliefs. In Philadelphia, she joined the Society of Friends, or Quakers. With the American Anti-Slavery Society, she talked to small groups of women in private parlors, which led to her giving lectures to larger groups of women and even men in New England. She became one of the first women who spoke in public to a mixed audience for black slaves and then for women's rights. Her sister, Angelina, was also a feminist and worked with Sarah on many projects. Sarah went on to write Epistle to the Clergy of the Southern States in 1836 and Letters on the Equality of the Sexes and the Condition of Women in 1838.
Betty Friedan was born in Illinois on February 4, 1921. She studied journalism like her mother did before her. After getting married and having 3 children, she continued working as a freelance writer instead of giving up her job like many other women. After 22 years, she divorced her husband. She was unhappy with her life, as were many other women who she studied with at Smith College. Her first major success in women's rights was her first book, The Feminine Mystique, in which she identified the problem with no name. She also spoke at many colleges about her book and women's rights. Friedan helped found the National Organization for Women. With this organization, she led the Women's Strike for Equality, the National Women's Political Caucus, and the National Abortion Rights Action League.
Although Sarah Grimke and Betty Friedan fought for women's rights at different times and in different ways, some of their ideas and methods for making change were similar. They both supported women's careers. Friedan fought for equal pay and hours, and Grimke fought for women's education. They also both fought for women's rights by giving lectures and signing petitions.
Friedan was allowed to go to college to get an education and to vote, while Grimke was not allowed to do these things. What Grimke was fighting for was mostly already resolved by the time Friedan was working. Also, Grimke did not only fight for women's rights, but also slaves' rights, because she noted that the status of slaves and women were very similar, and she thought that both causes crucially affected one another. Friedan focused solely on women's rights and gender roles, ignoring issues of gay and lesbian rights and civil rights.
Sarah Grimke not only encouraged anti-slavery activism, but also the circulation of anti-slavery petitions by New England women. Grimke said, "Men and women were created equal. They are both moral and accountable beings, and whatever is right for a man to do is right for women."
During her life, Friedan was thought of as the woman who sparked the second wave of feminism with her book, The Feminine Mystique. About her book, Betty Friedan said, "Some people thought I said, 'Women of the world, unite. You have nothing to lose but your men.' It's not true. You have nothing to lose but your vacuum cleaners." By saying this, she was encouraging women to stop seeing themselves as only housewives, and many pursued other careers. She was a great